Hey guys, Cece back with another video, and today's video is going to be all about makeup brushes. So if this is your first time watching, if it's your first time seeing my face, make sure you go ahead, click that subscribe button, and also click the little notification bell next to the subscribe button so you will always be notified for all of my future videos, okay? So we are going to jump right in this video because I have a feeling it is going to be quite long. This video is, again, all about makeup brushes. I have been asked, I don't know how many times, to do a video on my favorite makeup brushes and tools, and I wanted to really take my time, pick those out, and go really deep with you guys about what I use each brush for and why. So I do makeup tutorials for you guys, and I get the question all the time, or more so the comment, I guess. You use too many brushes. Why do you use so many brushes? You don't need that many brushes, blah, 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 blah. It is my choice to use as many brushes as I use. It's just what I like to do. You do not, absolutely do not have to use all of the brushes that I'm going to recommend today. These are just my absolute favorite brushes that I use when I'm creating a super full face glam look. But on the regular, like every day when I'm going to work, I probably use a total of 5 brushes and a beauty sponge. That is what I use to do my entire face because I keep it very, very simple. So if you're that person every single day, keep it simple. People get so wrapped up in what you tell them. Like, I'm on this platform, I guess, to just inform you guys what I do. I'm not a makeup artist. So if you choose to listen to every word I say, I mean, that's on you. I'm not an expert. I'm not a makeup artist. I'm just telling you what I do and what works for me. So take what I say with a grain of salt, all right? I'm telling you guys my favorite brushes. I'm telling you guys my recommendations, but that doesn't mean it's law, okay? Okay. So I've broken this up into face and eyes. I thought that would be the easiest way to explain these brushes to you guys. And I really don't feel like I have that many brushes, but there is a good amount in front of me. So I'm going to start with the eye brushes. Another disclaimer I guess I'll give is that some of these brushes that I use maybe for my eyes, you may use them for the face. You may use a blending brush to pat color on your lid. I don't know how you do that, but you may do that. That is okay. All of these brushes are multi-use and you can use them for whatever feels comfortable for you. So remember that as well. I'm going to show you how I use them, but use them how it feels comfortable to you. So we're going to start with brows. That's the first thing I do every single time I do my makeup. I start with my brows. So for my brows, every single time I do my brows, no matter what I'm using, a pomade, a pencil, a powder, whatever, you need a spoolie for your brows just to kind of brush them out and comb them through. This is my absolute favorite spoolie. It is $1 on the e.l.f. website. This is the e.l.f. Professional Eyelash and Brow Wand. You do not need a special spoolie, okay? This one is actually really soft, and a lot of times I get this for 50% off when e.l.f. has their sales on their websites, so I just grab a bunch and they're 50 cents a piece. This is my favorite one, been using it for years, and I totally recommend this spoolie. The next brush that I need for my brows is an angled brush. If I'm using a pomade, I have to use an angled brush on the brows. So this is one of my favorites. It's the Morphe M215, and it just looks like this. It is a very small angled brush. So some people like a larger one. I like a very small one to fill in my brows because I feel like it gives the most natural looking brows. Like, you just get the most natural hair-like strokes. And another thing I use this angle brush for is to actually outline my brows with concealer. I'm not particular as far as angle brushes go, but this one here, the Morphe M215, is a really good one, and it's a good recommendation for you. Okay, now let's move on to the actual eyelids. So the next next brush that I have is this one. It is the Morphe M224. It's one of my favorite brushes for actually adding my lid color onto the lid. I like these brushes, and these are sometimes called, I think these are most of the time, called concealer brushes because you can actually put your concealer on and blend with it. I almost never use it for that. I always use it for my lid shade or for adding, like if I'm putting a paint pot on my lid, trying to do a cut crease, then I'll add it with a brush like this. I like a bigger brush like this, but then I also like the smaller versions as well. I mean, this brush is just amazing and it has so many uses. So I probably use this probably every single time I do my makeup. I use a brush similar to this one. Another great brush for packing color onto your lid is the e.l.f. eyeshadow C brush. I have been using this brush for so long, I can't even tell you. This is a $3 brush. You can get it anywhere e.l.f. is sold. Target, I think Walgreens, CVS, Walmart, e.l.f.'s website, anywhere they're sold, and I have probably about 5 or 6 of these because I love them that much. This has always been one of my favorite brushes for just going into the lid and packing on that lid color. The brush is super soft and super durable. I've had these brushes for years and I have not had to replace them. Moving on to blending. Blending is probably one of the hardest things about eyeshadow that I hear people say. They can never get their eyeshadow quite blended right. I feel like you need to have the best blending brush. And the best blending brush, in my opinion, this brush I am very particular on, I will say. And this is the Sigma E40, the tapered blending brush. This brush is so amazing. And I've had Sigma brushes for probably 6 or 7 years, and this brush is the one, the blending brush that I keep coming back to. It is the most amazing brush ever to blend out your eyeshadow, especially to blend that transition color in just right. Oh, you cannot get a better brush than this. It is just the right amount of fluffy, it's soft, and I love this brush, you guys. If you guys are interested in saving yourself some coin, use my link down below and you will get a discount to Sigma Beauty. They also just came out with a bunch of new makeup, so check them out. But anyway, this brush, this is it. Another more tapered brush that I'm kind of obsessed with is the MAC 217. Now, brushes like this, and I have several different types of brushes like this. The Sigma E25 is really similar to this brush. Morphe has some that are really similar to this brush, but I keep coming back to the MAC 217. And what I love about brushes like this is that they fit into this crease. They fit into the crease of the eye so well, and they just blend color. They're good at placing color, but they're also good at blending color. And so this brush is super versatile because I can get into that crease of the eye and I can get color all in my crease, or I can use it for like the outer V area and blend color there as well. So totally crushing on this brush and recommending this brush if you don't want to buy a MAC brush. Like I said, Morphe has a brush like this, Sigma has a brush like this. Probably every brand has one of these like pinched tapered blending brushes. Another brush that I think is absolutely necessary is a pencil brush. This one is really great for blending up under your eye. A lot of times I don't like to leave my lower lash line naked. I did today actually, but a lot of times I don't. And when I blend up underneath the eye, I go with usually pencil brushes. One of my favorite pencil brushes is the Sigma pencil brush. It's the E30. Sigma just has amazing brushes all around. The price point isn't the cheapest, but it's also not the most expensive, and the brushes are quality. I've had these brushes probably since before I got married. I got this brush, and I've been married for 6 years. So I mean, I can't say enough about the quality of Sigma brushes, but this brush here is just amazing. The last brush that I have for the eyes is for liner. So when you do gel liner, you need the right brush. If you don't have the right brush, it's gonna just mess up the whole thing. Now, some people like to use angled brushes like the one I showed you for my brows. So like this Morphe 215. Some people like to use angled brushes like this. Some people like to use like the straight edge, like definer brushes. Baby. For me, I love this Sephora gel liner brush, and it is number 26. Sephora has amazing brushes. So check Sephora brand out too. Their brushes are great. I totally recommend them. And this eyeliner brush, any brush shaped like this, in my opinion, does way better for eyeliner than an angled brush. But this Sephora brush is just, this is my favorite. This is my baby. And I don't do gel liner every day, but this is my baby when I do. Woo! We're done with the eyes. Now let's get into face brushes and tools. The first thing I'm going to show you, absolutely hands down, you can't live without. Like, you have to have a beauty sponge, okay? And normally I would recommend the Beauty Blender. I've also tried one from EcoTools. I've also tried one from Real Techniques, but the one that has my heart and has had my heart for probably like the last 6 months has been the Sonia Kashuk blending sponge. I've talked to you guys about this I don't know how many times. I don't know how many of these now, and this is the best blending sponge that I've used ever. Dare I say it, ever, ever, ever. It does not get better than this blending sponge. Not only that, but the price point is great. You heard me say it was Sonia Kashuk, right? So this blending sponge, I believe they're 2 for $10. So how do you beat that? You can't, I know. Not only that, but it gets big, like it expands pretty big. You guys have seen me use it in a makeup tutorial. These things expand so big and they're so nice because you can cover so much area and blend out your foundation so easy. So I use blending sponges for foundation as well as to blend the concealer underneath my eyes. That is the only thing I blend my concealer with underneath my eyes, is a blending sponge. Ever. I never use brushes. I sometimes use brushes for my foundation, but for concealer, never. Never, 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 never. Now when I do decide to use a brush for my foundation, I don't know, I think this is hands down the best foundation brush out there. Like, this brush has been around for a long time and I've been using it for just about that long, and it's the Sigma Flat Kabuki Brush F80. I'm sure you guys have heard about this brush from some YouTuber or Instagrammer, and there is a reason for it. This brush has never let me down when it comes to foundation application. So if you're not a big sponge person for your foundation and you're like, I need to use a brush, this is the brush I recommend, hands down. Now if you think that brush is too expensive and you don't want to spend the money on it, there is a drugstore brush that I found that actually works pretty well, and it's the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. This is another brush that I don't mind using on my face and blending in my foundation. Now this brush is not as big as the Sigma F80, so it's gonna take you a little longer to blend out your foundation, but if you're okay with that, this brush is very affordable and I think it does a great job. And I also love the flat bottom because it can stand up on your desk or vanity. Alright, so now we've done foundation, we've done concealer, and we need to set the concealer. So I just take my wet sponge, because you guys know you need to dampen this. So I take my damp sponge and I dip it into my powder, and that is how I set my concealer most days. But if I just decide to use a brush, it usually is a brush similar to this shape right here, and my favorite one at the moment is the Luxie 522 tapered highlighter brush. So this brush is actually for highlight, but I like to use it to set my concealer underneath the eyes. As you can see, it is the absolute perfect size to do that. And not only can you set your concealer with this, but you can also use it to wipe the powder away. So if you just need to sweep powder away from underneath your eyes, brushes like this are great tools to use. And the Luxie brushes, I'm not even sure of the price point of Luxie brushes, and I'm sorry about that, but this is definitely a favorite. After my concealer is set, normally I will move into an all over face powder brush, and the one that I want to show you guys today is the Sigma Large Powder F20. So clearly Clearly you guys can see I have an obsession with Sigma brushes, and yes, I am affiliated with them, but all of the brushes that I'm showing you are brushes that I purchased myself. So this brush is the one that I reach for probably the most when it comes to just all over face powder. It is not too dense. I don't like too dense of a face powder brush because when they're too dense, you put on too much powder, and sometimes I like a very light washing of powder. So this one gives you a very nice light wash of powder, and it blends the powder as you place it on your face, which is really nice. So Sigma large powder, F20. So we only have a few brushes left. Of course, you have to bronze your face and add that color back in. So the one that I choose to do that with the most is the Sephora Pro Flawless Powder Brush number 40. So this brush, as you can see, it's close to that Sigma brush, but you can see that it's a wee bit smaller and a wee bit like thinner. So it's a little more like pinched than this brush, and so this brush makes a great bronzer brush. And I know it's big, but it's nice because it's not so concentrated where your bronzer becomes like a sharp contour. So you really can just place the bronzer on your face and blend it out, and it's right in that area that you want it, but it's placed softly and not, again, in like a harsh contour line. But if you're looking to contour, then a great brush to do that with is the Morphe M523. This has to be one of my favorite brushes to contour with ever in life. So look at the difference between the bronzer and the contour brush. So as you can see, it's a little more dense. The bristles are a little more concentrated, and so when you have that product on your brush, it is super easy to keep that product in that one concentrated area, and it's not gonna go like all over your cheeks, you know? So this brush is great for having a good, nice, sharp contour. I feel like you can also use a brush like this for blush as well. It's a little more concentrated than what I recommend for blush, but I see a lot of people use it for blush also. Now the brush that I use for blush on my cheeks is the Sigma Large Angled Contour F40. This is another brush that I've been using for so long, and I've talked to you guys about so many times because it is just that good. And so it is the perfect size for the apples of your cheeks, and I like to bring my blush up a little bit. It's the perfect size, the perfect angle to do that. Not only that, but you could also contour with this brush. As you can see, it fits in the hollow of your cheeks like perfectly. So you could contour with this brush, you can bronze with this brush, and you can use it for blush. But my favorite use, like I said, is for blush. So last but not least is the highlight. Of course you want to glow, you have to glow, that's just a part of doing your makeup. The best brush that I found to use my powder highlighters is the Morphe M501. I don't know how many of these brushes because they are just absolutely amazing. If you look at it, it looks like a bigger version of an eye brush, like a bigger version of that Sigma E40 that I showed you, and it really is. It's like just a bigger, fluffier, longer version of that, but when you're putting highlight on your cheeks, you don't need a huge brush. Like if you use a brush like this, I feel like it just covers too much area and you're gonna look a little cray cray. And then a brush like this is the Luxie 522, and it's actually called the taper highlighter brush. It's still pretty big. Like I feel like you're just gonna look a little cray cray with all that highlighter on your face. But if you use a smaller, more concentrated brush, I feel like it places the highlighter in the perfect spot and you glow exactly where you need and want to glow. So I definitely recommend like smaller tapered brushes like this. You could even use eye brushes to put your highlight on, but this is my favorite. So that's it, you guys. Those are all the brushes that I use for a full face of makeup. Again, you do not need every single one of these brushes in order to apply a flawless face. These are just my preferences. So if you have any questions about any of the brushes that I mentioned, definitely leave it down below. Also, all of the brushes that I mentioned will be listed, and if I can find them, linked down below in the description box. So check those out as well. So we have come to the end of this video. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye guys.